free world.
Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking to stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so weak. Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking to stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the booster, snuff the money mover. Snuff the hater, snuff the player, snuff your hairline, tape up and shape up. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff.
Welcome to Hail to the Culture. We are back. We know it's been a minute, but I am Rome. I'm here with my man Bryce.
What it do?
We got a lot to get into, Skins fans. I know it's been a minute. We got to talk draft. We got a QB battle going on. We had some injuries happen. But the biggest news is got to be the Trent Williams, the holdout, if you will. So let's go ahead and get into it with the state of the culture. So, Bryce, I'm sure you, as all Redskins fans, have heard about this Trent Williams news by now. He even put a little something on his Instagram story the other day where it looked like he was in the hospital possibly getting another surgery. So we'll have to find out a little more information about that. But if you haven't heard, Trent Williams skipped out on the mandatory minicamp. And the report came out, I believe it was CBS, that said Trent Williams vowed to never play for the Skins again because this isn't just about wanting a new contract, but it's about how his injury was handled. He had a tumor that was found, and he had to get removed. So that's obviously very serious. What are your thoughts on the Trent Williams situation, Bryce?
Man, my thoughts are definitely layered on this situation, man, because let me preface it with this. Trent Williams has been the best player on the Redskins for the last decade. And to me, it's not up for debate. Not at all. It's not debatable. Trent's been the best player for the last decade. And when you look up, let's put it like this. Whenever I got on Madden and I played with my Redskins, the only guy we had in the 90s was always Trent Williams, you know. So it just goes to show you how dominant he's really been. So seeing this from your captain, one of your stalwarts, obviously on the offensive line, one of the leaders of the football team, it hurts. It hurts, you know, because it means that our foundation could possibly be crumbling with something like this. Because not only did you see Trent Williams, you know, announce what he announced, that he wouldn't be showing up, that he vowed not to play for the Skins, but you see guys like Morgan Moses commenting on it, you know, saying, hey, it's about time something like this has happened. So it goes to show you that the disconnect between the front office, the coaching staff, the medical staff, and the players, there's a large disconnect there. And that's one thing that I gained from it. Whenever your captain, one of the guys that wears a C on his chest, is involved in something like this, you just look at it like, wow, there's really a disconnect going on with the team. So I think that's the biggest thing for me that hurt out of this. But as far as the player, like it's with Trent, you know, holding out, like this is something that we cannot have happen. So whether it's that he wants more money, whatever he wants, Dan Snyder and Bruce Allen should be willing to pony up just about anything.
Yeah, man. This is a very layered situation. J.P. Finley did do an interview with Bruce Allen, I want to say about a week ago, where Bruce Allen did say he had a conversation with Trent Williams. He didn't want to give out any information or whatever. I'm paraphrasing, but he pretty much said he was going to keep the convo between them. But to me, and everyone can go check out that interview for themselves, but to me, what I pulled away from that was that Bruce Allen knows that Trent Williams isn't happy. Obviously, a tumor is very serious. It was not cancerous. Everything from what was reported has worked out fine. But the other day, anyone who follows Trent Williams on Instagram definitely saw a very cryptic post of him in the hospital bed with some doctors and some nurses around. So who knows what that's about? But like you were saying, man, Trent Williams for the last decade has been the best player on the Redskins. Our first segment is called State of the Culture. Trent Williams is the culture of the Redskins. What he has brought to this team is more than just talent at the left tackle position, which is an extremely important position. But he brings a toughness, the mentality, the playing through the injuries. My biggest Trent Williams memory is when he punched Richard Sherman in the face after we lost that playoff game, man. Richard Sherman stepped to him, and Trent Williams held his ground, man. He ain't back down at all. And you want guys like that on your team. It's football. It's a tough sport, and you got to have that type of mentality. So losing a guy like Trent Williams affects the culture big time. So yeah, you're only going to hear from us here at Herald from the Culture that Trent Williams has to be resigned. Any issues that the organization has, like you just said, Bruce Allen, Daniel Snyder, they got to fix that. There's no questions, no debates about that. But where are you at as far as him being there for training camp or week one? Do you think he's more likely to be in Richmond for training camp, or do you think he'll definitely be suiting up for week one? Or worse, do you think he holds out, pulls a Le'Veon Bell, and we don't see him all season?
Man, that's the big question. And I'll be honest, I can't see anybody leaving $13 million on the table. You know, does he deserve more? Sure, he probably does. But where's he getting? Maybe it's 11. Maybe it's 11.5 this year. But whatever it is, I can't see anyone leaving that on the table. He deserves to be the highest paid left tackle, or at least top 2 highest paid left tackles in the league, because that's what he's been over the last 10 years. But with that said, I don't see him missing week one. He might just miss training camp. Maybe he misses the first week. But I don't see him. I see him doing maybe similar to what Aaron Donald did, when he just missed the first game, almost like a warning call. Like, I will do this. Don't test me, you know. And then he'll come back week 2 to get those checks, you know, because at the end of the day, that's what they do it for.
Definitely. But this affects a lot, man, because there's also, for training camp, there's going to be a big QB battle, as we also know, between Dwayne Haskins and Case Keenum. Gruden was quoted the other day as saying that Haskins definitely deserves a shot at being the starting quarterback. But if Trent Williams isn't out there week one, I don't know if you throw Dwayne Haskins out there week one without your best player, your best offensive lineman to protect his blind side. So this could affect the QB battle, man. I'm also interested to get your thoughts on where you think that's going to head. Week one, who do you think is going to be starting behind center?
Well, that's the other biggest question in Redskins Nation right now is who's going to be our quarterback. I'll put it like this: if, like you said, man, if Trent Williams doesn't start, I want to see Keenum. If Trent Williams is there, I'll roll the dice with Haskins. If I had to put my money on it, man, I would probably go with Haskins, just because I think the front office may be the ones really making this call, and they were, from all accounts, they were elated when Haskins fell to them. So chances are they're just going to want to get him on the field. They got to sell tickets, and they haven't been doing a good job of that recently. So they're going to do anything they can to do that, and the excitement that Haskins would bring would definitely see an uptick in ticket sales. Now, do I think that's the smartest move? We won't know until training camp for sure, till preseason for sure. But my gut's telling me that it wouldn't be the smartest move. Only because, like, when I see Case Keenum, I think I might grade Case Keenum out a little higher than most. Because, I mean, he's a proven starter at least. Is he, a top 10? No, by no stretch. But he's definitely in that top 20 range. And with a good defense and with a solid game plan, Case Keenum can get you to the playoffs. He's proven that. So I don't know if I would be so quick to rush Haskins. I mean, at the end of the day, if we're looking for a franchise quarterback for the next 10 to 15 years, we shouldn't be rushing him anyway, because this is just the genesis of his maturation process. So we could just sit on Haskins and roll with Keenum. And if Haskins proves and grades out to be ready, like he's ready, like there's no debating it, then we play him. But if not, let's go the safe route and allow our young rookie quarterback to blossom into the player that he could be with the right seasoning.
That's exactly where I'm at with it as well. The tough part about it is right now it's June. Dwayne Haskins has been a pro since, April? It's been a couple months, literally, since he's been a professional football player. So if you're asking who's ahead in the QB battle right now, it should be Case Keenum. Like you just laid out, Case Keenum's been in the NFL for a number of years, and he's proven that he can at least start some games. He may not be top 10, top 5, but he's proven that he can play at NFL level. Dwayne Haskins, for better or for worse, has not proven that yet because he hasn't been given a chance. But Jay Gruden's right when he says that Dwayne Haskins does deserve that shot because he has the talent. The only thing is he's got to learn the offense. He's got to prove that he can go in the huddle, command the offense, lead the team. He's not playing with kids anymore. You know, everyone's a grown man. Everyone's out there making a check, making a living off of this. So where Haskins needs to prove it is in the film room, studying the playbook, and leadership. And if he can show all that throughout the preseason and training camp, then I'm all in for him starting week 1. But outside of that, if he, like you said, if he doesn't knock it out the park, then I definitely think we take the long route with him because Dwayne Haskins will probably be around longer than some of these guys that are currently in the front office and some of these other players that are currently on the team. So the Skins definitely got to take their time with Haskins. But yeah, there's a lot more to talk about, man. We're definitely going to get into some more of the draft picks in a few. But I want to discuss the Reuben Foster injury. That's something we haven't touched on yet. He got hurt his first play of minicamp, or actually OTAs. It was before minicamp even started. I believe it was like his first or second snap as a Redskin. After all that happened with the signing, man, what are your thoughts on this injury and how devastating it was?
Yeah, definitely devastating. I think the thing that made it a little easier to take was the fact that we never really knew what Reuben Foster was as a Redskin at the end of the day because we never saw him suit up for us. So I guess for me, it hurts a little bit less. But at the same time, it's definitely a big blow because they seem to be really counting on him. And with him and Sean Deion Hamilton, that was going to be a nice interior, that linebacking core. But you know, it's got to be a next man up mentality, and I hate to say it, but it looks like our guy Rome. It looks like our guy. Looks like he's gonna make his way back to the field this year. And you know who I'm referring to? I'm talking about Mason Foster. I think Mason Foster is gonna find his way back into the starting lineup for the Redskins this season. Hopefully the growth of Sean Deion Hamilton makes up for that. I would love to see a guy like Josh Harvey Clemens be able to step up into a every down linebacking role. Apparently he's up to 240 now, 245. So he's put on some good weight. He's already tall. He can run. He could be like almost like a Telvin Smith type for us. So I mean, you never know. I would love to see that happen, but you know, we'll see who I know they signed John Bostic. He's been a solid NFL player. But man, I'm not too sure how to feel about this. So what are your thoughts?
I wouldn't sleep on Bostic. He could definitely push Foster to either play better or Foster might get replaced by Bostic because Bostic is pretty solid. But I think the thing that eases my pain about the Reuben Foster injury, because I was a little excited to see him suit up in the burgundy and gold, but the thing that eases my pain the most is knowing that Daron Payne, Jonathan Allen, and Matt Ioannidis are the best thing going for this team right now. And it almost doesn't matter who's that inside linebacker because with those guys eating up blocks the way that they can, it should make the job so easy for whoever's the inside linebacker that you should look better than you actually are if you're just simply doing your job. So Mason Foster has been working on his speed from some reports I've seen. I think he's lost a little bit of weight. So, I mean, if he can keep up with some running backs out of the backfield, man, and not get toasted left and right like he did last season, or maybe Cole Holcomb, somebody they can bring in. Josh Harvey Clemens is normally their coverage guy, but on rundowns, when teams do play action or want to surprise you in a run formation and throw it, Mason Foster has to be the guy that can cover someone. So if he can't do that, we might be seeing a lot of John Bostic. But I think it's really going to matter mostly in pass downs. As far as rundowns, that D-line is so nasty and so big up front, man, it almost doesn't matter who's that inside linebacker. So that's what I think about that. I do feel horrible for Reuben Foster. I feel like he was turning the right leaf or the right page, so to say. I think he was definitely in a good spot to get on the right track. But football, man, injuries happen, so we'll have to wait till next season to see what Reuben Foster can do. Hopefully he can stay out of trouble until then.
Yeah, hopefully, man. He's going to have a lot of time on his hands. So, We shall see. We shall see.
Yeah, man, most definitely. So as the offseason dwindles down, my question for you next is, what was the biggest offseason move so far by the Redskins?
Man, biggest off-season move. Is this draft included?
Yes, draft included for sure.
All right, well, I'll make it twofold. I'll say for this season is definitely bringing on Montez Sweat. Drafting Montez Sweat has the chance to really change this defense, because we've really never had that type of explosion off the edge. So I would say Montez Sweat, and in addition to that, I would go with Dwayne Haskins as well, because that's just a huge move, man. Getting that franchise quarterback, hopefully. That could change our season, man. That could change our whole trajectory for the next 10 years, not just this season. So I would say it's twofold. I'd say the first round in this year's draft is the biggest thing the Redskins did this offseason.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was definitely going to go Montez Sweat as well. But I'll switch it up a little bit here, and I'll go Landon Collins. I think after cutting DJ Swearinger and losing HaHa Clinton-Dix, the safety position was a position of very, very critical need. Signing Landon Collins shored that up a little bit, and hopefully Monte Nicholson can continue to develop as the safety plan next to him. But, I'll go Landon Collins as the biggest offseason move. But if you had to rate the offseason so far on a scale from 1 to 10, what are you giving him?
Man, well, when you stack that first round, you stack it top to bottom, what I thought was a very good draft. You add in Landon Collins. You add in DRC for some depth. I guess you can't. Case Keenum trade, you gotta include that. That was a solid move. I thought highly of that move all the way through. You go even the John Bostic pickup, a last moment pickup of John Bostic. That's a pretty solid pickup to have to get a guy off the street and it be John Bostic. So that's solid in itself. So overall, if I had to rank the entire offseason, I'd probably give it somewhere around a B to B minus. Draft gets an A plus. But I'd say free agency, I'd give him maybe more like a C plus, because the only move was really Landon Collins. We didn't get better really anywhere else in free agency, too much better at least. And then the Keenum trade. So maybe I'd say overall I give it a solid B off season.
Yeah, man, that's right where I'm at. I'll probably be a little higher. I'll go B plus. Just because the way that they did some of the deals, I like how they front-loaded Landon Collins, or back-loaded, I should say, Landon Collins' contract, because they're paying him next to nothing for the first season. And then I really like the Case Keenum trade because the Broncos are paying half of his salary. So you literally got Keenum on a 50% deal here. So I like it because of how they did some of the moves. But I'll say this, my grade could change drastically if Trent Williams isn't playing week 1. If they botch this signing of him or re-signing or contract negotiation, whatever you want to call it, if this goes from bad to worse, this offseason will be looked at as one of the worst off seasons possibly ever, despite a great draft and some pretty good signings. And another thing that could affect my grade for this offseason is Brandon Sheriff. They're supposed to be working on a new contract from him, from what I'm hearing. But that's another big one that they need to re-sign because he's in his final year. So if we lose Trent, we lose Brandon. Now we have pretty much no offensive line, and they would have to revamp it. So that could definitely affect how I'm grading this. But for now, I'll say B plus.
Yeah, you gotta take care of Sheriff, man. You gotta take care of Trent. You gotta take care of Sheriff. I know they don't want to have too much money tied into the offensive line, but look how much money they have tied into the tight end position. They could find some money if they really wanted to, and I think that Brandon Sheriff and Trent Williams are two of the most important players on the team. And I don't think that's really debatable at this point.
I love Jordan Reed and I love Vernon Davis, but if you're asking me if I want to keep Trent and Brandon over Vernon and Davis, I'm keeping Trent and Brandon.
Yes, me too.
All right, so let's switch it up for a minute. Let's get into let's talk about the NFC East for a little bit real quick. Philadelphia re-signed Carson Wentz. They gave him some big money, so that'll probably be good news for Dak Prescott. What are your thoughts on the NFC East quarterbacks, man? How do you feel about that Carson Wentz contract?
And I'm gonna be honest, bro. I'm happy, bro. I hate to say it like this because some of the reasons are okay. Let me break it down. Carson Wentz is not the quarterback that took the Eagles to the Super Bowl. Let me get that out the way. That man's name is Nick Foles, and he's now out of the division. And we don't really probably have to worry about the Eagles winning a Super Bowl ever again. No, but really, though. But really. Carson Wentz has proven to be injury-prone. I love his game. I love the fire he plays with. I love the passion he plays with. But his play style is not fit to be a healthy quarterback in the NFL. And he's proven that now for 3 seasons. Two seasons in a row he's had very, very serious injuries. One, he had the ACL, and then he had a back injury. Those are pretty – backs are pretty serious, you know. So, I don't – yeah, definitely. And I don't wish injury upon anybody. But that's a lot of money tied into a player that is oft injured. And I do believe that the Eagles wanted to get out in front of this contract because they understand how much the market is going to rise. So a part of that was their thinking. But I also think they were they pulled the trigger a little too quickly in getting this contract done because they wanted to prove to Carson that he is the guy. And to me, that's just – don't get me wrong. They proved that by letting Nick Foles walk. But without a contract, it's still kind of – and I think they just wanted to, show everyone that this is our guy and instill that confidence in him. So, I'm happy about it. And the second part of this is it set the market for Dak Prescott, who I really pray re-signs with the Cowboys. Please re-sign Dak Prescott. And it's looking like he's talking about $34 million a season from the latest reports. That sounds kind of ridiculous, but I would love if they did it. So, well, yeah, with the quarterbacks in the NFC East, man, I like where we stand at the moment, and I'm actually happy to see these quarterbacks get re-signed. As a Redskins fan, I'm happy to see these quarterbacks get re-signed.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised that Philadelphia gave Wentz the extension so soon because, like you were just saying, man, he's often injured. Like, he hasn't completed a full 16-game season yet, I don't think. So I was a bit surprised that they extended him. But then when I was looking at their QB history, that's what Philadelphia does. Their QB stability is big in the NFL, and they're a franchise that typically has that. They had Ron Jaworski for a while, Donovan McNabb. So now they're going to have Carson Wentz for a while. And hopefully for Philadelphia fans, he can stay healthy. Because when he's healthy, he has played very well. But that's a big if. But the biggest takeaway that I had from Carson Wentz's contract is how this is going to affect Dak and the Cowboys. Because they're going to end up paying Dak Prescott a lot of money. He could probably demand a little bit more than Carson Wentz just because Dak Prescott's won a playoff game and Carson Wentz is not. Carson Wentz, that's another reason I was surprised about the Eagles. Carson Wentz hasn't even won a playoff game, let alone led your team to the Super Bowl. He hasn't even proven that he can perform in the playoffs or even make it. But Dak has. So Dak will probably end up with a little bit more money, which in my mind hurts the Cowboys because the guy that they should be paying the most money to is Zeke Elliott. That should be the number one priority, I think. But he doesn't seem to be the number one priority. So, like you said, as a Redskins fan, I'm happy with the QB situation. We got Dwayne Haskins on a rookie deal for the next 4 or 5 years. And the Eagles and the Cowboys are overpaying for their quarterbacks. And the Giants took Daniel Jones 6. So I'm happy with where we're at as Redskin fans. So that'll pretty much take it for the NFC East today. We'll move on. Let's jump back to the draft, man. So the Redskins have had some very interesting draft picks, and there's been a lot of talk in the mini camps and the OTAs about these draft picks. Outside of Dwayne Haskins and Montez Sweat, who we've talked a little bit about already, who has been the most impressive draft pick in your eyes, and who do you think could have the most impactful season outside of the first-round picks?
Oh, man, that's a pretty good question. So I like a lot of our draft picks. I'm going to be honest. I think we nailed it this draft. Like I said, I gave the draft an A+, honestly, an A+. But let me start with the top. I mean, I guess we already went over Dwayne Haskins and Montez Sweat. So from there, we got Terry McLaurin. I expect a lot from Terry. I really think this guy's a stud. When I see this guy, I see a taller version of like a Steve Smith, and the fact that he's got that, he plays with that edge. Like he'll throw a block. You know, another thing I like about him is he plays well within the rules at all times. He's not dirty, but he's definitely feisty, and I like that a lot. You know, he kind of reminds me of a little bit. Terry McLaurin reminds me of Hines Ward a little bit. And if you can get a guy like that, I mean, man, that'd be a game changer for our wide receiving corps. So I honestly expect Terry McLaurin to be the Redskins' starting wide receiver when the season opens. I think he'll win that job, and I'll go on record saying that. Because after watching his tape,
you know how I feel about Josh Doxson, so I'll be very happy if he steps up and replaces him.
Yeah, man. I think he very well can. I mean, after watching his tape a few times now, it's just that guy's going to be good. So in addition to that, another pick I really loved was Wes Martin. He wasn't heralded coming out of Indiana, but Wes Martin is a beast, man. And this dude definitely looks the part. He hit 44 reps on the bench. So you know, whenever you're hitting 44 reps, you're a beast if you're hitting 44 on 225. So he's got the strength, he's got the size, and we've been looking for that guard to go next to Trent for a while now. We need that left guard, man, and hopefully he can fill that position this season for us. Another guy you gotta love is Kelvin Harmon. You know, I mean, hey, man, Kelvin Harmon, man, that was a guy I thought was going third round, fourth round, and to get him in the sixth, that's kind of ridiculous, man. So, you know, gotta love that. And one more name to keep an eye on. Not a lot of people are talking about this guy, but he might just end up becoming one of the best players from this draft class. And that's a guy by the name of Jordan Brailford out of Oak State. Man, this guy, bro, he's a beast, bro. He's also an edge rusher. So the thing I liked about this draft is we've missed on edge rushers in the past drafts. Like Ryan Anderson, we missed. Trent Murphy, in my opinion, we missed. But this season, we doubled down. So we got Montez Sweat, and we got Jordan Brailford, a guy who pops out on tape. So go ahead and watch that tape if you get a chance, anybody listening, because that's a guy that I could definitely see making an impact. Maybe not so much this season, but definitely going forward as he gets to work with Tom Sula and Minuski.
Yeah, most definitely, man. I think this was an excellent draft, but I'm going to go with the guy that everyone has been talking about in camp, and that's Jimmy Moreland. He has been getting a lot. He's this season's Trey Quinn. Everyone can't stop talking about him. And it sounded like he's going to have a real shot to be the starting slot cornerback right away, which is big for a seventh-round pick. It sounds like he's already leapfrogging Greg Stroman, Adonis Alexander. And it'll be interesting because if you got Josh Norman out there, you got Quentin Dunbar healthy out there, and then you're going to go with your seventh-round pick over your former third-round pick in Fabian Moreau in the slot. That's huge, man. That's huge. The emergence of Jimmy Moreland will definitely be something to keep an eye on in training camp and preseason.
Yeah, but, man. Yeah, gotta love what we've been hearing from Jimmy Moreland. Definitely, he's another guy that just pops out on tape, man. But when I watch it, one thing I try to keep in perspective is that the competition he was going against wasn't the best, but it's clear that his talents are going to travel wherever he plays.
Yeah, he's got a real nose for the ball. I'll be interested. They want to put him in the slot. I'm interested to see how he does in the run game because he is undersized. So how tough he plays and how healthy he can stay will be key. But I definitely like what I've been hearing out of camp from him. But let's swing it around the league, man. A lot has happened in the NFL. I know you wanted to talk a little bit about Baker Mayfield and those Duke Johnson comments.
Yeah, man. If you guys haven't heard, so Duke Johnson's currently in a contract. I don't want to know if we can call it a holdout because he's still showing up to work, but he's in a dispute with the Browns in which he wants to be traded. So Duke Johnson's making around, I think, $1.4 million this season, which isn't really much for anybody. But he's still in this. I think he actually signed a second deal, but it's a pretty small deal. So next year he's due to make $3.6 million, but there's an out for the Browns on the contract. So pretty much what the Browns are going to do is just let him play out this season at 1.3, and since they've already got Nick Chubb and now Kareem Hunt, there's no real room for Johnson to get any carries. So he's not going to be able to really prove himself to get a new deal. So that's the main reason he wants out. It's nothing selfish. It's just the fact that he wants to be able to. It's not really selfish if you think about it, because they're there to work. They're there to make money. They're there to get increase in pay. So what he's trying to do is just prove himself, and he's not going to be able to prove himself to get a new deal after the Browns acquiring Kareem Hunt to add into their backfield. So he wants out. He wants to be traded. And Baker Mayfield took to the media to kind of give a real college football type of answer. If you're not with us, you're against us type of answer when asked about Duke Johnson. And if you want to, go check out the clip, you can definitely search it. You'll find it pretty easily. But it wasn't. Apparently, it didn't go well in the locker room. Because other guys know that this is a business, and it's always going to be a business. So you have to get what you can while you can milk it. You have to get what you can. So that's kind of what happened there, and it just goes to show you that when you get a guy like Baker, there's a lot that comes with that, and you got to think of the opposite side of what comes with that too sometimes. And he's kind of showing that right now. But apparently they've worked it out in the locker room, so hopefully that works out well. But it's just a funny story, man, from around the NFL.
Yeah, it seems to me that Baker doesn't understand the difference between college and the NFL just yet. And that's that the NFL is a business and it's also a job. When Hugh Jackson left last season and went to the Bengals, and Baker had some comments about how you're going to go to our rival team and blah, blah, blah. Well, I mean, the man was making millions of dollars as your head coach, got fired, and probably wants to keep making money coaching in the NFL. So if the Bengals are gonna give him a job, that's what he's going to take. North Turner went from Dallas to Washington. Like, that's big-time rivalry, too, but you're not going to turn down a head coaching job. You're not going to turn down a job. Most people in America definitely ain't going to turn down a job for millions of dollars. So Baker just needs to understand that, he's a professional football player now, and so are his teammates and the other players in the league, and this business is definitely not all rivalries like it is in college. You're just going from school to school. But, yeah, man. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on around the league, man? It's kind of a dry spell right now. It's June, going into July. The Redskins won't be on Hard Knocks. That's a bit of news we could go on because they did pick the Raiders. So I guess Jay Gruden's little press conference worked out for him, saying that they'd be smart to pick the Raiders. Are you excited for Hard Knocks this season with AB and all those fools out there in Oakland, man?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be lit, man. But I'll tell you one thing. I wanted my skins on Hard Knocks just because I wanted to see it, man. I wanted to see the inner workings. I wanted to see how our guys are communicated to and with. I don't know, man. I was excited to see it if it was going to be the Skins. But the Raiders definitely have a show. They have a hell of a show over there right now. From Vontaze Burfict, to Antonio Brown,
Ricky Incognito.
Richie Incognito, man. I mean, the list goes on over there. Hold on, is Marshawn still playing? Or is he done?
Nah, but I'm sure his name will get mentioned. Josh Jacobs is the guy now. That's going to be an interesting story too to watch.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be surprised if Marshawn ends up popping back up for one more run at it, man. It's going to be crazy, man. Raiders on Hard Knocks are going to be must-see TV for sure.
I think it's a definitely better choice than the Redskins. I, for one, don't want to see our dysfunctional franchise on a cable television show weekly. I also feel like it's just going to bring up some more hate for the name, and the name needs to get changed and all that. So I'm glad that they're not going to be on Hard Knocks, because I think that's just it would just be bad publicity for the Redskins at this point. They need to focus on winning, no distractions. But yeah, man. Is there anything else you want to talk to about the people? I think we're gonna head down to training camp this August. I know there's gonna be a lot of fans down there. It's gonna be exciting. You want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. Hail to the Culture will be live at training camp. Dates will be coming to you guys soon. Can't wait to connect with the fellow Redskins Nation and really get a good look at the team. It's going to be an exciting season. We've got a new quarterback, so I definitely can't wait to get to training camp, man, and just be able to meet more fans. You know what I mean? So that would be dope, man. Everything else, definitely check out the site if you haven't yet, www.goodasssports.com. We Gas app coming soon, so be on the lookout on the Apple Store and the Android market. You'll be able to download the app. You'll be able to listen to Hail to the Culture wherever you are on the app. So yeah, man, that's all I got.
Yeah, man, we definitely got some big moves coming up. We will be in touch with you guys this summer, but the next big thing on the calendar, man, is training camp. So we'll be hollering at you guys sometime around the end of July, early August from training camp. So stay tuned, man. This is Hail to the Culture.
Free world. Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking to stay out the streets. Yeah. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so weak. Yeah. My hitters be moving and shaking to stay out the streets. Your hitters be hating, your hitters be looking so. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the boozer, snuff the money mover. Snuff the hater, snuff the player, snuff your hairline, tape up and shape up. Snuff the shooter, snuff the looter, snuff the boozer, snuff the